Today, I'm with Laurie Fischer, who's the founder and CEO of the American Dairy Coalition, based in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Laurie's advocacy organization has been very active, and we'd like her to tell us a little bit about it, please.
Thank you for having me today. You caught us in a very exciting time, challenging time, as far as what's happening on Capitol Hill. The American Dairy Coalition started just about 2.5 years ago. And one of the reasons that it began was so that dairy producers actually have their voice on Capitol Hill. We do have other great organizations, and a lot of organizations are out there. But previously, I worked with Speaker Boehner before Speaker Ryan became in office as our new speaker. And I'd bring dairy farmers up to the Hill, and he was so excited to be able to speak to dairy producers and dairy farmers directly. And so a lot of times I think our dairy farmers don't really think that a message to their legislator can go a long way. And I highly encourage you to stay in very close contact with your legislators. And the reason for that is because you're their constituent and you vote for them, and they do listen to you. So right now, as far as the coalition, we have over 30,000 dairy producers from across the United States that we represent. Our goals and our high priority beginning the organization was immigration, some type of reform to ensure a reliable labor force. You would think that after 20 years of the industry, maybe 20 years plus of the industry, waiting for something to happen, that we would have a fix by now. However, it's very controversial. And so a great deal of my time and my staff time are devoted strictly, and we're very focused on immigration reform for the dairy industry. Some of the other items that we work on are streamlining and reducing EPA regulations. We're also concerned about labeling of milk products that are based off plants versus actual milk. And then, of course, a big one is trade. So we say there's always something we can be doing for dairy farmers.
Thank you, Laurie. We know that immigration reform has been very much in the headlines with us. You've been active, and as I understand it, have supported particularly the what's now termed the Good Lot bill. But there's lots of other currents happening in Congress almost as we speak. Give us your assessment of kind of where things stand in Congress in terms of immigration reform legislation.
Yes, there is a lot going on. The day after Christmas, last Christmas in 2017, I called Chairman Goodlette's office. Chairman Goodlette is the chair of the Judiciary Committee. And we talked about doing and having a provision for dairy and agriculture in a bill that he was working on, which is much more than just a provision that would help dairy farmers. There is border protection, there's also interior enforcement, there's E-Verify, and so there's a lot of other parts and components of the Goodlette bill. However, if we tried to move something separate by itself for ag or for the dairy industry, it was really felt from a lot of legislators and those of us who lobby on the Hill that our chances would be better moving it along with another bill instead of a standalone piece of legislation. When you try and do standalone, the problem is there's markups on the bills, and everyone is focusing on that particular piece and may make changes, and likely would make changes, that our industry couldn't live with. So I've been very pleased. Our dairy producers from around the country have been really educated and calling the chairman's office, working with their staff directly to put together a portion of the Goodlette bill, which is called the Ag Act. This bill started moving forward, and all of you are familiar that we tried to pass a farm bill a few weeks ago, and there was a group called the Freedom Caucus. that are part of the House of Representatives. These individuals that are part of this group are very conservative thinking, and they wanted to have a vote on the floor for the entire Goodlet bill, which was good for dairy because that included our revisions for reform. However, what they said is we're not going to vote on the farm bill till we get a chance to vote on the Goodlet bill. And they actually held up the farm bill. The good news is we have until September to get a farm bill passed. And that, along with another group of moderate Republicans, and when I say moderate Republicans, we tend to look at, there's an election coming in November. And these individuals happen to be from areas in the country that are much more, I would say, interested in voting to see citizenship as far as immigration reform. So you have the conservative groups that look at any type of citizenship in immigration reform as amnesty, and then you have the other groups that want to have some type of path towards citizenship. So we have these two groups fighting against each other. And then we have Speaker Ryan, who's trying to take over the fight and find some sort of common solution that everyone can agree to. So today, Joel, I was really happy that you did ask me to speak with you because today both groups are meeting again with the Speaker. Yesterday there was a full caucus meeting, and there's reports that came out of the caucus meeting that they're all trying to work together. And typically you would think you would be challenging Republicans against Democrats. In this particular case, it's Republicans against Republicans. And there's a discharge petition that's also on the table. So the moderates that I talked about a little bit earlier would like to bring 4 bills to the floor. In order for them to do that, it's really a way that they circumvent leadership so that they can get a bill on the floor. The bill that the moderates want passed is a Dreamer bill, which or what we call a DACA fix. And so that's Deferred Action for Childhood Immigrants. So those are immigrants that came in with parents illegally and were not born in the United States, because if you're born in the United States, you are a legalized citizen. So those individuals, they want to have a path for citizenship. That's where the problem occurred. While this is all going along, we have and continue to build support on the Goodlet bill. However, today it came out that there is some framework, some new framework that's being considered. And this is being considered on the DACA bill. And our problem for our industry, the dairy industry, is right now is the time to stand up. We do not have days, we do not have weeks. We have right now is our time to tell our legislators we need to have a fix. We have no visa program we can use, but we're starting to hear more and more ICE raids, which sometimes they don't call them raids, they call them audits. But either way, you're risking your workforce. And the only way that we will be recognized is if we have a powerful, strong voice with our legislators. And luckily, I heard in yesterday's caucus that there were legislators standing up for the dairy industry. But if we don't put all of our efforts together and push a bill forward so that they don't forget the dairy industry, we will see ourselves, and I have no idea when, with looking down the road again, wondering when we're going to have some sort of policy that we're going to be able to use to have workers come in to the United States or keep the workers we have and provide them legal status here in the U.S.
Kicking the proverbial can down the road. Not something we want, of course. What should producers do as we're talking here on Friday, June 8th? What do you advocate that producers do?
A decision is supposed to be made next Tuesday. That's June 12th. So we have the weekend and a couple days next week. And this needs to be a full force pressure effort on legislators. if we're working with dreamers, and most of the country does and doesn't mind having dreamers have a path to citizenship, why wouldn't we help dairy producers? If we can help dreamers, we can help dairy producers. We're asking for a guest worker program. We're asking to be able to allow our workers here to be able to stay on our farms. Some people may call them unskilled workers. We think of them as skilled workers, and we think of them as part of our family. So this is a time to get engaged. And I encourage all producers and dairy producer associations to become very, very active in the next couple days and get your legislators to stand up for you to get something done for the dairy industry.
Thank you, Laurie. We've been speaking with Laurie Fischer, the CEO and founder of the American Dairy Coalition. This is Joel Hastings for Dairy Business News.